There's a moment, quiet, invisible, where your future gets decided, and most people miss it. It's not a big event. It's not a crisis. It's a choice so small, so ordinary, you wouldn't even notice it if no one pointed it out. It happens when you wake up and immediately replay yesterday. Same thoughts, same doubts, same story running on autopilot in the background of your mind. And that story? It's been shaping everything. Not because it's true, but because you keep listening. You don't even remember when it started. The voice that says, you're not consistent. Or, you'll start, but you won't finish. Or worse, this is just who you are. But what if it's not? What if the most powerful shift you'll ever make doesn't begin with motivation or mindset, but with one quiet hour? An hour where you stop repeating and start rewriting. An hour where you interrupt the noise long enough to remember you have a say. If that's the kind of shift you've been craving, this is your space. Subscribe, and let's begin again on purpose. Every day, your mind is being programmed, not by choice, by repetition. You think you're making decisions, but most of what you do, feel, and avoid is just the echo of what you've practiced thinking for years. And here's the truth no one talks about. Your brain doesn't care if a thought is helpful or harmful. It only cares if it's familiar. So the more often you think, I can't focus, I'm not good with habits, or it's too late to change, the more those thoughts feel true. Not because they are, but because they've been rehearsed. That's why motivation fades. That's why goals die. Because you're trying to build a new life on top of an old narrative. But there's a shift that changes everything. When you stop letting your thoughts run the day and start training them to follow your lead. And it doesn't take a breakthrough. It takes a pattern, a pocket of time, a daily ritual where you stop living by default and start choosing by design. And the best time to do it? The first hour, before the world tells you who you are, before distraction sets the tone, before your past takes over again. Because you can't change your mind with information. You change it with intention. Repeated, protected, lived. Stephen Covey didn't just teach habits. He taught ownership, not over your schedule, but over your story. He believed that the greatest power a person has is the power to choose their response, not just to a crisis, but to a thought, to a pattern, to that voice inside that says, this is just the way I am. Covey called it proactivity, the idea that you are not your moods, your triggers, or your history. You are the space between the stimulus and the response. And in that space lies your power. But most people never access it, not because they're weak, but because they never pause long enough to hear it. They wake up, and before they've even had a moment to breathe, they're back inside the old program. Covey warned us, if we keep doing what we're doing, we're going to keep getting what we're getting. So here's the question. What are you rehearsing in the first hour of your day? Is it fear, shame, doubt? Or is it clarity, choice, alignment? Because your mind will believe whatever it hears most. Make sure the first voice it hears is yours. Share with me in the comments. What's one belief you're ready to rewrite starting tomorrow morning? You don't need a new version of you. You need to reconnect with the version that's been buried under repetition. And it begins in the first hour, before the noise, before the autopilot. Start here. Wake up 30 minutes earlier, not to do more, but to hear yourself. Before touching your phone, sit in silence, even if it's just 3 minutes, not to clear your mind, but to meet it, to notice what thoughts are waiting in the hallway. Then write just one line. The kind of person I am becoming is. It might feel awkward at first, but you're not writing for the world. You're writing to remind your brain, we're going somewhere new. Want more power? Read a passage that reflects the identity you're building, or record your own voice saying the beliefs you want to live by. Then play it back. Your brain doesn't know the difference between memory and imagination, but it knows consistency. So give it the same message every day for 1 hour. And when distractions come, and they will, gently ask yourself, Am I reinforcing the old or rehearsing the new? This hour doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be yours. Honest, repetitive, intentional. Because 1 hour of deliberate thought can undo years of accidental programming. Pause for a second. Not to fix, just to feel. When was the last time you actually listened? To the voice inside your own mind? Not the loud one that criticizes. The quiet one. The one that asks, are we still becoming or just surviving? It's so easy to confuse momentum with meaning. To move through the day doing, reacting, responding, and forget that somewhere underneath it all, you're still shaping yourself. So ask yourself gently, what have I been repeating that no longer belongs to me? What thoughts feel automatic, but were never really mine to begin with? And deeper still, what belief have I accepted, not because it's true, but because it's familiar? We don't reprogram the mind with pressure. We do it with honesty, one quiet moment at a time. And if this part of the video felt like it saw something you usually hide, take a breath. You don't need to change everything today. You just need to stop pretending it doesn't matter. And if you're still here, if you're still feeling this, click like. Not for me, for you, as a soft signal to yourself. I'm ready to see with different eyes. Something shifts when you stop reacting and start remembering. You stop chasing better versions of yourself and start becoming the one who was always waiting beneath the noise. You no longer need to force consistency because your actions aren't about pressure anymore. They're about alignment. You wake up and speak with more clarity. You move with more integrity, not because everything is perfect, but because now you're in the room, fully, quietly, intentionally. That first hour no longer feels like a task. It feels like a return to your voice, to your rhythm, to your power. You're not trying to change everything overnight. You're just practicing one powerful identity. I am someone who leads my thoughts before they lead me. And that identity? It shows up in how you speak to yourself, in what you allow in the first hour, in how you begin your day with authorship, not apology. Because now, you're not just living by goals. You're living by truth. And every morning you show up to that hour. You write that truth a little deeper into who you are. Some truths don't arrive with lightning. They arrive with a whisper. They find you in that hour, when no one is watching and nothing is demanding. And you finally ask yourself, is this the story I still want to live? That question changes people. Because the moment you realize your thoughts are not facts, you stop obeying them. You start editing them. You stop reacting like a passenger and start choosing like an author. So protect that 1 hour. Guard it like a promise, not because it fixes everything, but because it reminds you of something essential, that you're not here to repeat. You're here to renew. And no matter how long you've been inside the old program, it's never too late to write a better one. One thought, one breath, one morning at a time. If this video felt like a pause in the right direction, I invite you to subscribe, not for motivation, for momentum, for truth, for the hour that could change everything. Because the world will keep spinning. But this moment, this hour, is yours.